what is the state? Is the state like this evil entity that just bubbles up the worst people in society because it's based on extortion and violence? Or is it just a manifestation of our fear coming from hunter-gatherer days where we didn't, if a tribe, back in the day, if a tribe came and took your tribe and you lost, everybody was getting killed and all the women were getting raped. So people, that fear is passed down, it's in our being. So is that what it is? It just comes from that? Or do you think there's actually people that are organizing this? Like, what's your take on all this?
I think the state is essentially a protection racket. It is a mafia, it is a gang of thugs, but it is much worse than a gang of thugs. Because if there was a mafia, a protection racket, that moved into town and said, we're taking over this town and we're going to govern it and we'll tell you what to do, we'll take a little bit of your business, don't worry, we'll give things back and we'll make sure everything's taken care of. At least under that structure, people would know, okay, it's a gang of thugs and we're their helpless victims. But they'd know deep down that it wasn't right. There wasn't any sort of God-given right that these people had to rule over them. It's just that these are the gang of thugs with the biggest guns, so they're going to win the fight. Okay, well, we can resist, probably die, or we can go along to get along. But in their heads, they would not be enslaved to this gang of thugs. However, the state is a gang of thugs writ large with fancy titles, badges, hats, and pieces of paper that tell people that, no, we have the right to govern you. And of course, that has functioned in different ways in different historical eras. But in our current era, in the modern, developed, Western liberal democracies, or whatever they're calling them this week, it is essentially the idea we are the government because we sign into it, we give our consent, we participate in the process, we elect representatives. Maybe your representative you wanted gets in, maybe he doesn't. But anyway, you've consented to the system, so you are now being subject to those rules. And people are enslaved in their minds to this idea, the idea of the state. And the biggest secret about it is that the state doesn't really exist. There is no actual identifiable thing in nature called government. There are only people. There are only individuals who may assume certain offices and wear certain costumes, but the entire mechanism by which they rule over other people is all in the mind.
So it's a manifestation of human fear.
I don't know if it's a manifestation of human fear, but it is a result of human fear, and
isn't that the same thing?
Well, no, because there is the predatory psychopathic class, whatever you want to identify them as, that take advantage of that fear by putting in the state as the solution to it. But I don't think if you say it is the manifestation of that fear, you would say that this is the logical and only possibility it is the development of that fear, but it isn't. It's the way that fear is dealt with by a predatory class that's preying on another class. This isn't about money, because once you realize about how the money is created, and that it is created out of nothing as debt that is owed back to the banks that are given the right to create it by this thing called the government, you realize that, no, of course, they don't care about money per se. They can print it out of nothing as they need.
So it's power.
It's power. Money is nothing but the point system by which you keep track of how much power you have.